Alright, I'm going to try to make another video on Common Lisp. If you weren't following before, what I was using is, actually I'll just use this other window, right? Portical by Shinmera. This keyboard's so loud, I might have to get another keyboard to type on for videos or something. And I have to get a new computer, so that kind of sucks, but I just can't record in the resolution, a high enough resolution that I want to use. Today I got a new microphone though, so hopefully the microphone will sound better. So this is Portical, emacs, Especial, quicklisp, and Git. You can download it right here for Windows. And I just have it set up where if I run port, it'll open up. Sometimes it's cut off down here for some reason, the connected part, so let me just fix that real quick. Now I can read down here all the way. So this is a Portical, and it comes with the environment with slime, like emacs and slime that you can use. For this video, I'm going to try to use emacs because I'm trying to learn sly. And Portical can run sly too, but by default it runs slime. So I'm just going to use two different ones, possibly, but try to convert over to sly. So I don't have it installed right now, and slime's not on here either. So I already have emacs on here, so I'm not going to go over how to install that. Whenever I get a new computer, maybe I'll just make videos of setting up everything that I set up. That way people can follow along, but if you have emacs, you can just go download it. Probably say emacs for Windows. I don't remember which one I downloaded, but probably just this one. So Linux, BSDs, Windows. So maybe go to the FTP server. You can use run emacs to run it. Nearby GNU mirror. So I guess have a latest one. Maybe just go into the latest one, and then find an installer for your 64-bit or whatever. I don't know if there's different versions. So this looks like it's the latest one. Probably has instructions here or something, but I don't know. I would just go with this right here, I guess. Like I said, I'll go over that later. So now what I want to do is install sly over here, I guess. So I'm going to say sly emacs Common Lisp, just to try to be more specific. And then right here, it's Common Lisp IDE. And you can probably get it with Git, but it says right here that you can use melpa, so that's what I'm going to do. So I guess the first thing I have to do is find out, man, I should, I think, because I'm on a new user over here, that I don't have a home directory set for emacs. So I don't know if it's smart to set a home directory now, just to get it out of the way, or stuff's going to be over there when I move it later, if it annoys me too much. But you probably just go to your environment variable and set a home folder. Let me just see if someone has that real quick. I'm just trying to get used to using this other search engine. Just testing it out, actually. Oh, there's a bunch of them out there, but Fravia recommended this one a long time ago. And I never saw that, and I never checked it out, so I guess it's been around for a while. And so, set emacs set home folder Windows, let's say. Maybe over here they have it. Set to home, just to see apps emacs. see the icon I want real quick. So let's just see if this works. If it doesn't, then I'll just use it the way it is. So right now you could go to like %appdata probably. %. There's probably an emacs folder in here. I don't know if that's less tacky or more tacky than using a home. You know, on a new computer, I'll just set up a home folder for now. Let's just use this. So the way I got there was, by default, I guess emacs might be just putting it in here. So if you go app data like this with the % signs, it'll take you here. See users, ribbit face, app data, and then there's a emacs.d. If there's not one, you can create one. And then I come in here and there's not a init file, so I'm just gonna move this out of the way. Come over here, Control X, Control F to find a file. And like I want a backspace, I'm holding Control backspace. And as I'm doing this, what it did, if I hit Control Y, it copied that to the clipboard. Well, to the kill ring of Emacs. So I'm just gonna come back over here real quick, hit Control L, Control C. Control L will put me up in this window and highlight everything for me. So I can just alt back over here, alt tab back, and then come in this file. And then what I want to do is get a init.el probably. So now I can close this, I guess. Well, I might have to mess with that file. Could have left it open, I guess. So I don't need that anymore. So now if I go to melpa here, I probably have to see how to install this too. So if I come over here, and right here it's like usage or whatever, I'm just gonna copy this and then put it over here, save that file. There's probably some other stuff I need to put in here for it to find SBCL. And I don't remember how to do that on Windows. I think I have to set the path maybe for my inferior Lisp, like the folder first. Let me see if this other dude that I have has it. Where would his, might actually be in a home folder here. Let's see, there's a .emacs. So here's the difference. This other user I have set up is using the home folder, right? And see the emacs.d is probably going to be in here somewhere. See all the other stuff's in here. Yeah, it is right there. So if I just open this up real quick, just to see what's in there, I'll just use Notepad for a minute. So you see you can use different stuff. And so right here, added for slime, removed for sly. So I took slime out of here. Because I don't think you can use the two of them at the same time. And here's what I was looking for, right? I need both of these lines. But on like Linux, you can just put the path or whatever. But for some reason, it wasn't working for me. So I had to set this up first. So I'll just grab these two lines. Get out of there. And probably get out of there. Why not? And then come over here. I'm just going to kill that line. Okay, so now I should be able to maybe just run these, hopefully. I don't know if I have to restart this, but I'm going to go to the end of the line and hit Control XE. And it said nil at the bottom. I'm going to go to the end of this line. Say Control XE. And go over here and say Control XE. And then if everything works correctly, then let's get out of here, because that should be set up. There might be one more thing, Control Shift T. Package initialize, do I have to call something? So maybe I have to call this command right here. Package refresh contents. So I'll just say like package refresh contents. I'm just hitting tab to complete, so that's done. So theoretically, before if I would come into here, let's say, package list packages, and search for sly, I don't think it would be in here. So if I do it now, then all that worked. So I'll just hit, so it's not working. The easiest thing for me to do rather than troubleshoot it is just to go ahead and control, maybe kill out of there. Now let me run Emacs again. If I didn't put any errors in there, then maybe now I have the melpa distribution. I don't know. Let's see. And it looks like there's more stuff in here already, so I don't know what I had to do to get that to run. Maybe you have to reinitialize or reload the file I was in. I just thought Control XE would do that. So now I'll look for slide this time. And so I'm already finding stuff I didn't find before. So I'm just going to get out of here, kill this window, Control X, let go of the control and hit K. And then there's probably, if I come back over here, let's see, because I don't need to be in there to install it either. I can just install it with like a package install slide probably. So let's say it's saying installation, package install, and then hit slide. So let's just do it like that. So package install, and then hit enter, and then I'll put slide here. And now it's connecting to the melpa. You can see down there it's loading some stuff up in there, down here. And then now if I hit Alt X, and then type slide and hit enter, polling user ribbit slink. So slink is the server side. So let's say like this is Emacs, then there'll be a plugin that makes Emacs be an IDE for Common Lisp. You can choose slide or slime. And then Sly is going to use Slink as a server, and Slime was using Swank as a server. So I'm used to using Slime more. I don't really know either one of them very well. Hit Control X1, that'll just make this buffer bigger right here. And I think that's working, so I'll have to come back here and look and see what all this has in it versus Slime. So I think Slime, they try to be stable, and Sly tries to be more fancy and enhanced. And the reason I chose this one was because some dude, I don't need a new window, right? I think he was saying like Common Lisp REPL as my shell maybe. And I was using Slime, and after reading this, I'm going to try to give Sly a chance. Because this guy's talking about using, instead of using bash or something, using Common Lisp as a shell. Which I had tried to do a couple times, but I didn't like any of the stuff that was already created, so maybe this guy's got some good ideas. There's a video right here. Maybe I saw the video first, and then from the video I found this, or vice versa, I don't know. But it was really interesting for stuff that I want to try to do. So it'd be kind of like if I was in, so I have WSL installed, which is, I don't know, maybe it stands for like Windows Linux Subsystem or something. And I still haven't fixed my username from last time, so I'm going to -L to ribbit face. And then run tmux real quick. So over here I'm typing stuff, and this is like basically a shell. And then over here in Emacs, typing stuff, right? And this is a REPL. So it's going to be like using probably my REPL from Emacs as a shell. You can run a shell in here in Emacs, but I don't know. I just prefer to be in a normal thing. I don't know. I'm probably using bash by default because I didn't change anything. So yeah, it's running bash. So anyway, I'll get out of there. And we have Sly running, right? So I don't really know what I want to do, but I know one thing. I was trying to like play with symbols, so I'm going to open up a file real quick, and it's not in the folder I want, so I'm actually going to cd. Oh, this is so I can say Alt X, and I'll type cd, and then I'll go to like users ribbit face. Is there a learn folder already? Yeah. So I'm going to say like Lisp Vid 02 maybe, because I already made one. Maybe I made two already, so this is 3. But the other ones don't have an org file. So I'm trying to change to a directory, and I'm also trying to create a file at the same time. So now I hit Control XF if I want to, but before I do that, I did Alt X, and when I did the Alt X, it's changing it for Emacs, but Sly is also an IDE, so it has one too. So if I'm in the REPL and I hit a comma, it's going to just pop me down here kind of like a leader key or something and Vim is what it would be called probably. I don't know about an emacs, but it's like a key you can hit to write commands for like slime to come up. So I'll type cd here, and it looks like it changed with the other one too. So that's good. Sometimes I think slime wasn't doing that, but maybe because I didn't have a window open already. So Control XF now, I'm just gonna be where I want to be because I CD'd it in there. So here, I guess I'll do that. lispvid03.org. And then if you name something an org file, you used to have to install this, but now it's built into Emacs since like one of the 24 versions or something, I think. And what this lets me do is just, I don't know how to use this very well, but it'll give me like an outline. So I'll say like stuff or whatever. And then if I put right here, more stuff. And then right here, if I was to type something, junk. And then down here, I have to type good junk. And now if I come over here to type a tab, then I can kind of like get around, like kind of like an organizer or something. And so the stuff I want to do today that I know I want to do is maybe talk about symbols a little bit more because I think they're strange. Just put they are strange to remind me. And then another thing I want to talk about is like a property list, which I don't really understand very well. So maybe we can try to like figure out what this is of a symbol, let's say, because I think they're part of a symbol. And then maybe like go over like a lambda and maybe a loop. And then let. I'll go over let before I forget that too. So, and this right here, what I want to try to do is, you always hear about OOPN or object-oriented programming. And I'm wondering when, I don't even know if I can find this really easily, and probably Google's better just for me to dig around. But I'm just trying to see first if this one will, so if I say like Lisp, not Common Lisp, it's property list or probably party Lisp. So I like to say like Lisp, when did property list invented or implementation, what would I put there? List, property list, implemented maybe? I don't even know, but I was just curious. I don't want to know about the property list. I want to know about Lisp history maybe. It's probably a better word than implemented though. I don't even know if it's called a property list. It could be a mistake in here. Anyway, maybe I'll try to find that out. From list 1 to list 5. 1.5, I mean. So this is an old list, let's say. So if there's property list in here. So there is. So property list, idea for each atom with a list of properties was present in the first assembly language implementation. It's also theoretical idea device. So this looks like the first implementation of Lisp, because we're talking about list 1 to list 1.5, had property lists in it. So that's, so we'll say this is like this in 1959 when he was working on this before, so maybe Lisp was invented before this in his head or whatever, but it wasn't until someone came along and wrote an interpreter. It was just an idea he had in his head in like a theoretical language. Maybe that's one of the reasons why I was interested in Lisp, because it's like, ooh, this guy got up here and made a white paper about this theoretical language. And then I think one of his students at one point was like, I want to say he was using punch cards, but maybe I can't remember. But he was maybe doing like using punch cards to compile the code or something. So whenever McCarthy gave us a talk about this or whatever, he was like all excited and like, oh man, we could make like I guess basically like an interpreter or something, right? And just run this. And McCarthy was like, yeah, right. Like, this is just an idea. Like, don't even try that. And then he went home. Lisp is all these like magical fantasies and stuff. So who knows what's true or not? But this dude goes home overnight or something and basically takes that paper and makes an interpreter that runs like lifts the McCarthy's idea or whatever. So then he started using that to automate his job. So That's pretty cool. But so property lists are old, man. That's actually very interesting because what I'm wondering. So I can split the screen if I was to say Control X2 maybe. So just Control X, let go to the control and hit 2. And then down here I'll say Control X and then hit B. And right now it's saying default to slime REPL. That's where I want to go, or the slide REPL. So another thing is I always wanted a multiple REPL sometimes because if I'm working and when I was over here in like emacs, but using, this is Portical, but it's still emacs, right? So when I was using slime, sometimes I work down here a lot. And so it seems like maybe a lot of people work up in their like text file they have open and then save and close. But for a couple of videos, or at least this one too, I don't want to use a file to save stuff in because at some point, like I never really did it. I don't think I've ever done it, but you can just dump your Lisp image. So, and theoretically, we could read the code in Lisp, right? So what I want to try to do is just play around with a little image where maybe through all these videos, all the stuff that I add will stay in there. And rather than having to put it in a folder somewhere or like in a file somewhere, like in a Lisp file, then I'll just save the image when I'm done with the video, let's say. Then the next time I start my video, I'll just start the image up. But I'm not saving the source code in a file. I just want to try this out and see if this is something I can do. Anyway, what I was trying to say is sometimes I'm down here typing something and I'm in the middle of like trying to figure out how to type something. And I want to open up another REPL real quick just to see what works and then go back. So it's kind of like interactive programming, but although this is interactive, I'd have to cut this and then come back and paste it or something, right? So it's okay. It's not a big deal, but if I had multiple REPLs, then I could play around in one. And, you know, so anyway, so I'm switching back. And see right here it says M REPL, so I think Sly has maybe a multiple REPLs. So hopefully that's true. And if so, then it'll be like cool to play around with that. But I don't know. I don't know how to do that and don't need it right yet. So I'm not going to try to do stuff unless it's something I'm trying to play with, right? And so we have, I don't know if quicklisp is on here. So maybe quicklisp. It's not. So let me just go install that too, because if you're going to play with other people's libraries and stuff, that's probably important. So this is all inside here already. So if you're running Portical, then you can use quicklisp already probably. So what I'm going to do is just come over here again and I'm going to close that. And so property list. So let's go ahead and write this over here. 1959, did it say? Were implemented in the first Lisp. So I don't know. That's interesting to me. And oh, why am I doing this? For ooping. Object-oriented programming. I don't know if programming 1G, can I get away with that? I mean 1M or 2Ms. Just use one because I'm lazy. Hopefully you can do either because some words are weird like that. And so like since I'm over here I could go like this, right? Talk about symbols. Well, you know, I'm talking about property lists. I'll be talking about symbols in my way, but let's start over here after doing quicklisp. So I start rambling, right? And I'll forget to install quicklisp at some point because I'll come over here and talk and never install it or something like last time. So we're going to just say quicklisp. Probably get away with that word by itself. And installation. So to install quicklisp, download this and load it. Oh, so we're going to actually see how to load a file because I'm not loading files, so that's pretty cool. So what I'm going to do is come over here. Like I said, there's a shell in here. I think Alt-X type shell and get around. I just never really liked this thing. Oh, well, see, now it's using DOS because I'm on Windows, right? So I definitely want to not be in here right now. I have some like Linux environment stuff to, no I don't. Probably type exit and then Control XK to get rid of this thing. All right. So, but this doesn't matter because I don't want to use that. I guess it'll use whatever. I'm on Windows, so it's going to be using DOS commands. I could probably use PowerShell or whatever too, but it's kind of working in Emacs is kind of annoying when you want to grep stuff or something. So if I was like ls minus al, and then when I grep some stuff, grep. Yeah, maybe put something there. So like a bash or something. So this weird stuff will like happen sometimes, or I couldn't run Vim if I was wanting to run Vim inside Emacs. It's gonna let me run Vim, but I can't see what it's typing or whatever. So I'd have to know Vim really well, right? So anyway, now I'm over here, and I don't know if it matters where I'm at, but let's just say home ribbit face. So this is the Linux side. This is like I don't even know, but I keep calling it Windows Linux subsystem, but it's called WSL. So from Windows, I showed this before, but I can type whack whack WSL $, and then it'll show my Ubuntu. So I could use the Ubuntu files and come and save my files inside wherever. With a ribbit face, I can make a file over here, and it'll show up over here. So I can use Windows to like write on the Linux side, but I don't I like using the command line. And although PowerShell's cool, these guys really didn't understand what being on the command line shell, like being able to get around, jumping around and stuff. So it's just faster for me this way. So what I'm gonna do is just CD, C, and then mount. It's the other way around, right? So CD mount, because it's a Linux. And then if I was to say like, I'm putting my stuff in users, ribbit face right now, right? Yeah. And then there's a learn folder in here. So now inside here, I can just download that. So I'll just make a folder in here, maybe called downloads, just for what I'm doing right here. So now inside here, I can run that curl command over there. So if I was to come back over here and copy this, let's say copy that, and then right click over here. Normally, you probably want to read what these files are before you run them. So I'll just open up Vim, let's say, just for the heck of it, and then just see what's inside here. And you want to make sure there's nothing funky or something in here, right, when you're downloading stuff. So and we're 70% of the file already. All right, so I don't see nothing too crazy in there, but there's a way you can come over here and check and sign the keys, but I'm not gonna worry about that right now. Right here is how you do it, which you would probably want to do. And so here's like a way from the command line over here, but this is a Linux side. I could run sbcl and load this, and then run this command. But since I'm already inside the REPL, I'm trying to use a REPL right now for everything. So I'm just gonna say like load, and then where did I put that stuff in? Ribbit faces folder, which might be in this folder. So I think if you hit pound maybe, is it pound P maybe? I don't know. It's one of these two, probably pound P. And then if I was to say like downloads maybe, so there it is. It's just like means path. And so there's that quicklisp folder file. So I'm gonna load it and run it. It doesn't exist. Does it not? Did I not curl it? Is that why? Quicklisp.lisp. Did I name it something else? So let's just see. And then over here it's saying, did I switch over there? Alright, let me open it then. So there is one there. That was weird. Oh, that's what I was trying to say earlier, and I thought it... let me just get out of here just to see. This is what I was trying to show earlier, and I thought it told me. Because when I hit this and hit CD, it's where I want to be. But if I hit the comma and hit CD, I don't know why it's not loading it then. Maybe because I need the / there, but it read the path. Just want to see if I can load. Oops, sorry. I want to see if I can load that file. So if I say load, let me just do it like this. It's not picking it up, so let me try that pound P. And then, what was it? Wait, because it's not in there. Can I just do that? There we go. Let's try it like that. Alright, so it loaded it. I don't know why it didn't load it last time. Oh, I do, probably. It's a stupid forward slashes and backslashes. They're different. Like Emacs is wanting to be on Linux, I think. So that's no big deal. I know what happened. Oh, maybe we'll get a chance to prove that later. So I'm just going to do this one. Quick Lisp. It's telling me up there what to do. And so here's like some funky tab completion that didn't know what I wanted to type, so I'll just type it out. Quick Lisp, quick start, and then, geez. And then right here it's saying install. That's where I'm getting that from. So install. So this is going to install Quick Lisp, like it's I guess a way to like get Lisp libraries. Just a quick, easy place to get that. And then there's also a place where system name, add this to, so it loads it every time. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that there too. Or else you have to load it every time. And it's just going to be easier doing videos not to have to do that. Init file. So Quick Lisp is loaded, so this is what it's going to add. It's telling me it's going to put it in my SBCL RC file and user's ribbit face. It's going to add this line right here, and it's just going to let me, if I quit right now and come back in here, I don't have to go and load it like I just did it. So now if I wanted to find a library, let's say, like if I say, I think it's QL apropos maybe, and then I can put a name of a, like if there's a something called Drachma, then it'll show me. So there's Drachma, I could use that. Drachma is like a web client, so you can see web pages or something. Kind of like curl. I just downloaded that with curl. You could probably use Drachma to download that Quick Lisp file too if we had Quick Lisp already here and could install Drachma already. So I think that's all I need for Quick Lisp. I just wanted to put it in there. So I can just leave this stuff here. You could put a to-do or something, I guess. There's a way to put to-dos. It's like to-do, and then see it turns red. So I could say blah, and then just leave my to-do list up top, but that doesn't matter. So we'll talk about symbols. Do we want to do that yet? Is that all I needed? I think that's all I needed, so let me go ahead and make this full screen, I guess. And I don't know, it's kind of funky working full screen. I'm not used to it, but, and I don't need to be in here, so I'll just say Control X and then O to go down here, and Control X1. I can always go back. And so I guess we'll talk about symbols for a minute. And let me Control B plus sign, Control plus sign, Control B, Control plus sign. Is that not how I'd make it bigger? Control B and then Shift plus. And Control B plus sign. Is that not how I do it over here? Control B plus sign. Alright, so Control B Shift plus sign. Control B. No, it's not doing it. That's weird. It's Control X plus sign maybe? There we go. So I'm not working in this one. Control X, then Control plus sign. That'll make it a little bit bigger. Hopefully that's big enough to see. And what we want to do is like property list, right? And just symbols. So if I, like right here, I just say some word, whatever, word. It's going to come back as itself because it's quoted. So I could say quote word. And then if I want to say like make a list, let's say, then I'm just quoting that list. So I could say like quote and then put a list there. Oh, then I don't need the quote, right? So 1, 2, 3. So this little quote's just a way to get something back real quick, because whatever it is. And I just think it's like the lazy way that like, so here I could type text, or I can type text, and one of them's a string and one of them's a symbol coming back. But variables and stuff are going to use this. So let's say if I say def var, and then I'm going to put, I'm just going to put weird stuff because I don't want it to conflict. Well, I'm going to put junk here. because I'm going to save this Lisp image, right? And so maybe like when I'm messing with junk or something, I'll just put ZZ. That way, this Lisp image isn't conflicting with other stuff I start typing later when I want to use a name or something. So I could say like ZZ name, let's say. And this is just going to let me like make variables or whatever that I don't care about. And normally when you're making a global variable, or I guess in Lisp they're also called special variables, maybe special symbols, I don't know. I'll just come over here and cut this real quick. Because before I do that, I want to describe it. So I'm going to describe ZZ. What was I calling it? ZZ name, let's say. It doesn't matter. And then when I do that, I think I've got to put the quote there, right? So you can see, right, there's a Common Lisp user. This is where I am. My name, like, you can think of it as like a namespace. Maybe in other languages. I think it's called a package for Common Lisp. But, so we describe it, and there's just like it just says symbol. There's no values in it, right? And so if I was to say def var, let's say, and I'm going to say def var ZZ name, and then I'm going to give it the value of ribbit. Now if I describe that again, then you'll see it has a little more information. And so user name, ZZ name, so it's in the same namespace. ZZ name is a symbol, but now it's, you know, I meant to put the earmuffs around there and I didn't, so well. Let me try to like do that from now on. So here's like, I messed that up and I don't want that symbol sitting there, especially since I'm going to be saving this thing and I want it to be the earmuff. So what I try to do is like, I described it right, so you can see that there. It's got a value of ribbit. So what I'm going to try to do is, and before it equaled nothing, it had this. So I'm going to try to unintern this one. Unintern. And then ZZ name. And we'll try to describe that again. And so you see it kind of like went back to the way it was now, before it was ever done. Now, what I want to do is go ahead and do the same thing. So I want to make that again, but I just want to do it the right way. And you might hear me call these earmuffs, which most people do, I believe. But the Lisp alien, we could show a Lisp alien real quick, maybe. Common Lisp alien. Oh, there's no images. Well, that's where Google will work for better. I don't want to see if I have to search images or whatever. So let's just do that again. Common Lisp alien. All right. And then we'll just go to images. Oh, you can see them right here. So see, these guys have a bunch of eyeballs a lot of times. So I like to just call those eyeballs. So if you hear me call them eyeballs and everybody else calls them earmuffs, that's why. And then also just like if I was to like define a constant, let's say, well, you say def var, no, you say def constant, and then do plus signs. So I'll call it ZZ name const, just so it doesn't conflict with my other one, and give it a face, let's say. And then now, like, I probably shouldn't be able to set that or something because it's a constant. And so we can try, I guess, like just to do that. And it says that, right? And so let me say setf plus ZZ to be ribbit face. And it comes back and says I can't, basically, somewhere it might say a constant. This is a constant and thus can't be set. So that one's stuck being that. For like if I save this image, it's just stuck there now. But that's cool. Then another thing to notice is if I say def var ribbit, right, it's giving me back the ZZ name. And because I use def var, ribbit's ribbit, right? But let's just say I want to change it to be cat. And then I go like this. Then we can see that it's still ribbit. And there's another one called def parameter you can set stuff with. Now with def parameter, I can go ahead and set it. So basically the difference is, and now if I was to go back there, you'll see it's cat now. But let's just leave that as ribbit for now. So I guess the difference between this is def var won't set. If it's not set, if it doesn't exist, it'll make it. But if it does exist, it's not gonna like recreate it or update it. But def parameter will. And so in a way, it's kind of like in between a constant and a variable maybe, but only when it's like when it sees itself calling something that exists already, it just like pretends like it's a constant, let's say, and ignores it. But anything else can set it, I guess. So nothing too well. It is kind of confusing maybe if you don't know what's going on and you're trying to change it. But let's say I had my file. Let's say I'm working in the REPL, and then I actually had another file up there. So I had another file up here, and this is an org mode file, so you can't load it. But let's just say this was some list file, and it was loaded in there. And I was working in my REPL, and I set ZZ name to be something else. But I used def var up here when I set it. When I reload that file, and it rereads it and loads it back into the REPL. If I use def var, then it's going to see they exist already in my REPL, and so it's not going to update those. But if I use def parameter, it would have overwritten those. So that's just something to keep in mind, I guess. And so now let's describe the ZZ name again. So ZZ name. And we kind of saw this earlier. So there's a symbol ribbit. And so if I was to say ZZ name, then we have that. I went over this in the other video, but you can also have function names. And I don't know, maybe like function names you wouldn't normally put earmuffs around them. But let's just say we can say define a function. I don't think it'll care if I make my function have the earmuffs on them. And so we can say define this, and then do we give it a name, let's say? So we'll just say some name. And then we'll say, I'll just use print to be super easy. Print, print some name. So I want to put ribbit's name, but some name, let's just see. No, I don't even care about that. Because I'm trying to show something else. I don't want to use like two crazy variables for all this stuff. So I'll just say set printf print, and I'm going to put print. Maybe I can concatenate something. Print. Hello. It's just, I don't know. I'll just use a format. Because this way I can do it the other way like I wanted it to do. So I'll just put some name here, right? And then format T. Because, oh yeah, I don't care about what I'm doing. I'm just trying to show a function. So yeah, I could just say print name then. Print some name. See if that works. And then, so if I use that function, if I go like this, it's the variable, right? But if I go like this, it becomes the function name. 0 number of arguments. So I have to put like ribbit here, let's say. And that's where I'm being lazy. So like, what if I had to put a string here? It's just one character, I guess. One character difference, but right here we're returning a string, and right here we're returning a symbol. But the only thing I'm trying to show this, which I showed in the other video, was now if I say describe, and I say ZZ name, let's say, and then it has that there in this, and then we need this. And notice right now I don't have pair edited on, or however you pronounce it, which I might go install that in a second just to start using that more to get used to it. But maybe I'll just, not do that in this video, just to show you don't have to really worry about the parentheses, even if you're not using pair edit too much. So now you can see you have like the ZZ name and the symbol, and they use this space right here. We have ZZ name, the special variable, which I was trying to show earlier, but for some reason it wasn't showing up. Maybe I was using the wrong name or something. So, and the value is currently ribbit, but then there's also this function. So you can see it's compiled. I never tell it, hey, like this is SBC. I'll never tell it to compile this, but the interpreter down here can compile stuff at any point in time. And you can actually tell it to compile a function. So you can say like compile or function, or hit maybe Control C or something at the end of a function name, or maybe even the middle of it in slide. I don't know. It'll compile the functions for you. But depending on what implementation, right here, SBCL, it's going to be compiling stuff as it goes or whatever. Another interpreter might only leave everything interpreted until you tell it to compile it. And you might just say compile this one function, let's say, and all your other code will be interpreted. So it's kind of weird. I think Lisp might be one of the first languages that basically had an might be the first interpreter language, I don't know, but it's probably the first one that had an interpreter and a compiler. And over the years, it used to be slow because those machines were slow, and Lisp is kind of heavy. Like if you're messing with C or something back then, it probably was a lot faster. But Lisp is like doing all this crazy stuff or whatever. So those machines ran kind of slow, and over the years they had to like make stuff compile and try to be quick or whatever. You can even like disassemble. So we made a function called zzName, right? So we could disassemble it. Like, can you give me this? I'm not putting enough there to complete it without having to go search for stuff. And I think I called it zzName with 1 star. And so, yeah, what it's doing right here, let's see if I can figure out what it's saying in the error. The value ribbit, because I'm putting this is like, where like this is a Lisp 2, let's say. Now Lisp 1 wouldn't let me have a function name and a symbol name, so you might not be running into this problem. But because I have a variable name zzName and a function name zzName, and I didn't put my quote right, then it's trying to find the value for ribbit, right? And it's not a function. So I don't know, like if it's not of type, yeah. So here it's saying it's not of type, and then here we see functions. It's probably saying it's not of type function. So I'm just gonna hit Q to get out of this debugger. This is just a Lisp debugger. We could, maybe, let me see. I don't know how to use this thing really, but retry will just fail again. Oh, I guess maybe if I hit, well, like how I know how to do it is just hit 0. And so if I hit tab, well, Sly would jump to the other one when I did that. But what that's happening is it's trying again, probably just coming right back in here. So I can abort it, or maybe I can come over here. It's saying disassemble ribbit. So let's just see what this says. And then it's using ribbit. So I don't know if I can come over here and edit that on the fly. Maybe if I go to more. Somewhere in here I can tell it, like, try with something else probably. I don't know where that would be though. Mripple process, just see if I see something real quick. And I'm not seeing it. So if I come over here and go to the front of this maybe. Anyway, I'll try to figure that. Here's where it's showing eval, maybe. See where maybe this one will let me change it. So I'm gonna hit 2 maybe. Oh, that didn't do what I wanted. Sly not in the connected REPL. Did I just kill my Sly doing that? So yeah, I did something wrong maybe. So here I'll just say, oh, well, I guess if I did this, then all my code was gone, right? So that's something to keep in mind if I'm trying not to do that. So maybe there's like a restart. Oh, I'm in Emacs instead of Slime, but Slime's dead now, so maybe I'll just say Alt-X Sly, and then switch to open connection. Start a new one. I don't want to start a new one if there's another one. Oh, let me try this. Oh, so I don't know. I guess I did something dumb in here. So let me just kill this, and then just see if there's still one connected. Start a new one. Maybe if I remembered what the other port was or something. I don't know. So basically I had a def var, and then we had a zzName, and we had that called ribbit. I almost got done saying what I wanted to say. And then we had to define a function, and we called it zzName. And then here we said some name, I think. And then here I printed, did I just print something, I think? Print some name, maybe? and then maybe they don't have variables, so let me try to describe them. Describe with, oh yeah, that's what I was trying to show. So now that we have the special control X1, we have the special variable right here, and then we have this right here, which is a function. So it's compiled function. It's lambda list sum name. So that's I guess the parameter at the moment, or an argument later. Derive type is a function, t values and optional, and then in the form of kind of like the way it does something. So it's a lambda with the parameter we put, and then block the z name and print some name. So it's kind of showing us what the source code is. This is what I was saying, I guess. If I wasn't saving my source code, at least there's some way to look at it to some degree. And you know, I think it's my mouse. This mouse 2 prompt as new. Maybe that's why it wasn't working, because maybe my mouse is on. Do I even know how to turn my mouse off? I want to say, I know in the command line, if I turn these mice off, it'll stop. I don't know. Maybe I'll worry about that later, but I would think I could come over here and click on some of this stuff. Oh, never mind. The mouse ain't messing up. Like, I still want to turn that off, I guess, but so it's not highlighting stuff. I just use that from the command line, but maybe I'll get used to it. So it's still not. So this is the function name, right? So can I? Maybe it just has to be return values. I was want to see if I could just right click this and show the source code real quick inside Slime, I guess, Sly or whatever, and then I'm not worried about turning the mouse off all of a sudden. So anyway, this Common Lisp is at least a Lisp 2, let's say, because we can have two different namespaces sitting here. And so right here, if I was to describe this again, and if I was to put the pound sign, the she sign is what I call it, I guess. But I guess nobody's going to know what I'm talking about, because, you know, you got a she bang. So she bang, you know, bin, bash or something to make a bash script. So if I just say describe with a little hash mark, let's say, sitting right here also, that's what it's called, you'll see it's not showing the part right here that's a symbol, that's a special variable. Special variable because it's a global. Like if you didn't want to make a global variable, let's say, you might be inside like a let, for instance. You could say like let x a. Is that how I do it? And then I said let z be o. So I need to put this here, right? So I'll say a. And I was expecting those parentheses not to disappear because I'm starting to get used to pair edit. And then right here, if I say print x, so print's a function. So right here, it doesn't matter. It's just giving me a warning. But it's because the z. So maybe I could put like prog in right here. And maybe that's what that block is we saw earlier. I don't know what the block is really, but I'm guessing something like this. So if I say prog in and then say print x, and what the prog in does is let me do two things at once. So I get a z, and then now I shouldn't get a warning there. You see right here, this is printing the x, it's printing the z. So that's what the first two are, a and b. The last one is just Lisp, especially when you're in the REPL. By default, it's going to return the last thing that it has. And so theoretically, if I was just wanting to see the values, then still print. But what if I just told it like somehow z? I wonder if I even have to, since I'm in the REPL, maybe I don't even have to say print on this one, right? Because it's going to return it. Let's just see. So it did. So here it's using this to print a, because I said print a, but here it's just returning the last thing it sees, so it would happen to be the z. Now if I was to take both prints out, let's say, and then think I could come over here and put, well, it doesn't do what I want. Well, there it did it. Just hit a tab. And then right here, it didn't mess up. It doesn't care because this right here returned, and then this returned, but the Z was the last thing that returned, and that's why you don't see this one. But that's why right here it did return it, even though I didn't print it, because it's returning the last thing. And then you have functions, and you have like a lambda function. So I don't know. Can I figure out how to do this? I don't think I need a name for one of those. So what if I just put xy there, and then I put plus xy? So there's a lambda function sitting there, right? And it's kind of like, if I was to say describe, before I forget, describe x, let's say, because x was up here, right? So when I try to describe that, notice it's not giving me the same information as when I said describe ZZ name, let's say. Like here it has some values, it has this value, and it has this value. That's because these are just local, lexically scoped. So I don't know like what it's called and a lot of other stuff, but these are just like a scoping, lexically scoped. So anything in here has a value, but once this block stops, then these are just like, if I had, variables or something in a function, they're only going to be seen inside that function type of deal. And this lambda is a function, it's just anonymous. So this is a way to make a function without giving it a name. I think that's all a lambda means, is just anonymous function, let's say. So it's letting you know it's a function, it's a lambda. And then right here, if I wanted to use this actually, I could come over here and put parentheses around it, right? And then it's trying to call it. So before we're just, returning this funky thing right here. So we can copy that to variable, describe it, inspect it. So you can go and try to inspect stuff too, like, but let's just not get into that at the moment. And then come over here, and what it's saying is lambda called with invalid number of arguments. So I'll just hit Control X1 to come back to one screen. And the way I'm moving down to the bottom of the screen, so I'm holding Alt Shift and then less than, I guess, or since I'm hitting Shift, it might actually be a period, but like Alt Shift period, Alt Shift less than, they're on the same key. That's just dropping me, and then the less than would take me to the top of the buffer, bottom of the buffer. So if I'm somewhere, sometimes I'll just use that to get down to the bottom. So we're talking about lambda here, and because I didn't give it any arguments, right? Because here I'm calling it. I'm starting to call this lambda, and then now I can come and give it some like a value, let's say. So x is 10 and y is 12, let's say. And then now it runs that, so 22. I want to say maybe there's different ways you can call these too. That's just like, maybe we can say like fun call. I don't know how it's going to accept this. Do I have to put a pound sign there? Like, because that's how functions sometimes need to be, I think. And then, like, I don't have pair editor on, so it's not, like, nothing's matching. Maybe when I go like this, I can just get rid of one and see it. And then I don't know, because it's expecting two values. Does fun call only take one argument, maybe? So if I was to say 10 and 12 here again, oh, it works like that too, okay. So that's another way, like, basically, this is just trying to call a function, but you could manually type this out too. Maybe if you're trying to write code that ran code, maybe, I'm just guessing here, this one, when you're writing the code out, maybe doesn't like the way this is done, let's say, because it's not quoted or something. But right here you can use fun call, so you replace this with fun call, and then you could probably use, like, write some code that could read and run this code or something, rather than he might not be able to read that. I don't know if I can come up with something off the fly for that, off the top of my head, to like show what I'm talking about. Now, what I'm trying to do here is go over property lists, I guess, is what I wanted to do, right? And I showed some variables and different stuff like that, and I showed a let. Maybe lists would be something to try to see too. So I can make a list, and I can make like a list of lists. It doesn't matter how I format it. Lisp is going to just take it in and format it its own way when it returns it, all in one line probably. And then there's another type of list. Maybe I don't want to use numbers here, but then I had to type symbols out, so let's just use numbers for now. So there's another type of list too, like a broken list. dotted list, maybe we'll just call them. And then we'll say 3.4 and then 5.6. And so it's a different type of list. And you access these, I want to say, in different ways. But maybe to be like, I'm going to just make some stuff up maybe. So let's just make a couple things to use real quick. So I'm going to make a list. And do I want these to be global though? Because then they're going to start being laying around everywhere. Should I just like maybe use a let? Like, can I use a let like this? I don't even know. So let's just say like we have let HP be 20. And the reason I'm doing this is because I don't want to have a bunch of, maybe I want to make all these functions use HP, and then they're going to be interacting with each other, and I don't want to be. So I'm going to try to get away from like global variables for a minute, let's say. And then we're going to make strings. The only issue with this now is that it's only going to work inside this block. And this might be where you actually want to use like a file and put this information in a file or something. But I don't care. I'm just going to play around in the REPL for a while. And then if I come over here now, can I put a lambda in here? So first, let's just say let HP 20 and string be 5. So let's just do a prog in so I can print both of those. And just let it return the last one 5 again because it doesn't matter. So this is just to see our variables. So print HP and then print string, let's say. Variable it doesn't exist. Yeah, I can tell that now. So there we go. So HP is 20 and string is 5. Okay. So now let's just say we have print. So we'll put one more print right here maybe. I didn't want it to enter that though. So I'll come over here. It's kind of weird because sometimes, like I expect, when I'm up here, if I hit enter for it to just jump down there, there it did at that time. Maybe because I was in the middle of it or something. And try that in the middle of it. Like, why did that not do what I wanted it to do? Maybe because I was at the end of this? I don't know. Maybe because I was all the way at the end. I don't know. And then now, if I was to come back in here, let's say, oh, I wanted to do it right here. Is it going to try to enter that? It is. That's what was happening. So probably because I already have it closed, I could stop this from happening probably by going over here. And now I hit enter, right? Because the last one's not there. But let's say I'm in pair edit, and then, like, that's not going to work. So I hit Control J maybe. And it didn't tab complete my thing for me, so I'll hit tab. And I think in this mode, like, it's just going to tab complete. Whenever you hit tab, it's not putting a tab there or anything. It's just a way to indent code. So I hit Control J, and I can actually print what I want here. I don't care. Like, let's just say what I wanted to say was print, and then I just wanted to say like starting HP, let's say, right? And then close that. Now I'll come over here. I don't think I closed it, so it didn't show. Well, because I was hitting Control J, it works the same way. But now if I'm on this line anywhere, more than likely if I hit tab, it's just going to indent it the way that, it's like working in Python sometimes or something. You can worry about all these spaces, but if you have an editor that keeps up with the stuff, then you don't have to pay attention to it as much. And Control XU, I can undo. So that's just one way. Like, you can just like start typing and at any point and just hit tab on the line. And what this is going to try to do is just indent it. And so as long as your editor is cool with the Lisp tags or editing Lisp, it should be able to do this. And it also lets you see when stuff looks weird. Probably in Python, you can just look at the screen and it looks weird, and you're like, something's wrong right there. Even from across the room or something, you can see code that looks wrong. And in Lisp, it's the same way. If it's formatted correctly, right? If you're using Notepad to do your Python, maybe it's not doing this, or to do your Lisp, it's not. But it's kind of something you can kind of ignore a little bit. And so now what I want to try to do is, and just for the sake of it, I'll get rid of the last parenthesis. Well, no, I won't, just to show. Like, I want to hit Control J right here so I can go down one. I'll just hit tab so it goes where I want. Now what I want to try to do is, because this is a function, an anonymous function I want to try to write. Do I have to call it like that? So I probably do, right? So I'll just go ahead and put that over here for now. So now I'm going to try inside this let to call this lambda. And I want to say, okay, because I'm using let here, string doesn't know. I think what's going to happen is there's no guarantee in Common Lisp in the standard, like the ANSI standard. So in the standard, there's not a guarantee of what order these things will get loaded up in. So depending on what implementation you're doing or whatever, like I can come over here and I can mess with HP and strength all I want, but I can't like subtract strength from HP. I can subtract 5 from HP, but this let you can't guarantee it might load the HP first, or the string or whatever. So I could probably like come over here and say like HP minus str and it's gonna fail. But if I put a star here, let star, then it puts these in the like it does this one, then it does this one. And another way it'll know HP could now be string could now be subtracted from HP. But I'm not gonna do that at this particular moment, maybe. And if I do, then I want to see that error so I can kind of show what I'm talking about depending on what I do here. And so now I'm making a lambda. And what I really just want to try first is to do what I just said, maybe. So I'm going to say the lambda takes, I could give it parameters, I guess, just so we can see them. Or I could just hard code them in here. So if I say HP, so here I'll say, let's just spell it out so it's different. We can see the difference between the two. So if I say lambda health strength, and then come over here, and I'll just say like subtract health. And that's not what I want to do either. I want to actually subtract HP. What I want to do is abstract. Yeah, so this is not what I want to do up here. What I want to do is just give it a strength, let's say. And I'm not going to use the one up there, let's say. So I'll name it different. And then I'll change that back and maybe we'll see what I was talking about a minute ago. So then I want to say minus HP strength, which is the one that's the lambda's expecting, right? So since the lambda's expecting one, and this is all inside here, I think this is okay still, because I'm not going to use the one up there. I'm just going to pass this over. So what I'll do is I'll make it different than 5. So then I'm going to say, like, we're going to subtract, let's say, 10. And then get out of there. And then now let's print the HP again. So now I'm out of this. I think I'm still on my prog in, right? So I should just be able to print, but why is it over there? Let me see. Because I closed my prog in right here, maybe. So I'll just show you. I'll put it back, right? And now I want to see maybe if this lambda can go inside a prog in too. I don't know. Like, no, I don't want to close that, right? Because here I want to try to print one more time. It's weird that my prog in, my print's so far over. That's what I was talking about. Something looks weird, but maybe I'm wrong. So print HP. And then, can I just do this? So here it's printing the first starting HP. It's printing the strength. And it's printing 20 and it's returning 20. So this HP didn't subtract from there. So that's not what I wanted it to do. So why is HP? So what I'm going to try to do here is set F. And I'm going to use set F. I'm going to set F HP. 2 HP minus strength, let's say. Let's see if this works now. So now it's returning 10. And here I was returning 10. Right? No, I'm subtracting that. So where's this print HP coming from? So print HP. It's not actually setting the HP though. It is returning it. It's returning it, printing the HP. Because I didn't set it. Am I printing it too early? Where is it at? Printing HP right here. I'll just say like print. Maybe I can put a concatenate right here. I just Texas read only. Enter. And so it kept where my cursor was, so that's really cool. I have to see if it does that again. I'm just making this really ugly for a second. Concatenate 8, please. Oh, didn't like that. Let me put a space there and try that again. But concatenate ending HP, let's say. And if I say concatenate that, can I put HP sitting here, I wonder? God, it's getting so ugly here. Value of 1 ending in. Alright, so what I'm going to just do is just quit being retarded for a minute and format. And then here I'm going to say ending HP. And then I have to tell it where it's going to go. So I think I want to type it to nil real quick. Format nil. It might need to be true there, but let's just see HP. And then we'll put a tilde. You should just be able to use a tilde S, I think. Because it doesn't care as long as it's an S expression, I think. And then put HP here, maybe. Minus HP string ending in HP 20, not a number. Well, okay, so that's not true. I couldn't do what I thought, maybe. Not a number. What's not a number? Value of get out strings in HP, not a number. Ending in HP, not a number. Okay, so I'm doing something wrong here, obviously, but I have no idea what I'm doing wrong. So if I come over here and put that parentheses, it's closing there. The lambda doesn't need to be in here anymore, so it probably is. So I'm just going to put this parentheses here. It's kind of funky. I wonder if that's why it wasn't working earlier too, though. Not using parrot edit all the time. Call it invalid number of arguments. So lambda strings. Set f HP minus HP. And then my prog in. Let me see where that closed at. And then my prog in closed there. Like it's saying I called strength. Am I calling strength somewhere? This is a lambda though. Why is it calling it? Well, this really sucks. Can I not just play around like this and keep going in that video? Because I'm going to mess up and have to edit all this stuff. Lambda string called with invalid number of arguments. So there's only one argument here, buddy. And this is where you're ending, right? The lambda ends there. Yes, sir, it does. Set f HP minus HP strings. What if I just put 5 here? Like, I don't understand why it's saying that it's invalid number of arguments. I moved parentheses around, that's probably why, right? Let's just put hard code 10 there and see if it's string called with invalid. I'm not trying to call a function called string, though. Oh, you want to know why? Maybe. My lambda is closing there. So here's what I'm doing wrong. This has to be outside that one. Thank goodness. The variable strength is defined but never used. Yes, because I didn't know what I was doing. Wow, that would suck if I'm not even going to be able to program as if I was live coding or something. So I'm just learning Common Lisp, so I guess you'll have to bear with what I'm doing over here. And right now I'm trying not to use para edit because I usually didn't, and it was so annoying. I always turned it off whenever Protocol was turning it on, and I started trying to use it. And now I got used to it, so it's kind of cool, but it's kind of frustrating sometimes. So I just want to do some coding without it to be able to keep up with my parentheses. And you can see I'm just like get rid of one and put it back or something. It's probably not the optimal way to see it, but it's just, you can see it flash, and it's a way I can do it and you can see it or something. Now, so ending in 10. So if we run this again, it's going to be the same every time because these right here are just local to this. So as soon as this block closes, this lexical scope can be garbage collected, basically, I guess, if we don't, unless I keep calling it like this, I guess. So what else could we change in here? This right here I could get rid of, right? And this is what I was kind of trying to think. Now, let's set up, if we get rid of, let's say we can get rid of this strength right here. We don't need to call it with a strength. This is if I was wanting to like I'm coming over here and changing this, right? So that's what was being fed in here. When I had strength sitting over here, let me put that back. Control XU, Control XU. So what's happening right here is kind of like that lambda we have up here somewhere. I was doing one before. I just have to. Did I do one by itself? I did, remember? It was the two parentheses together somewhere. Was it before the let or after the let? I think I might have done it way up there somewhere. Well, it doesn't matter because I can do it below this, right? So what I want to try to do now here is take this out so it's not taking one. And then I just put this in here, right? Because what I want to use now is the 5 up here. So I'm using strings from here now. And then to do that, how's this going to be? I don't need this one anymore. I took so this 10 was for this, was basically I was asking for a parameter here, right? And so this 10 was the argument for that. Or I don't know, this is what I understand this. If I'm typing it out, it's a parameter, and then when I put it in there, it's an argument, I guess. So you could say the argument strength right here that was typed out earlier was being fed this right here. So this function was taking this, substituting that right here, and then substituting what was right here to this right here is what I want to say was happening, right? So this is how these strings were going around. But since I'm going to get rid of this one. So if I get rid of this one, let's say, and then come down here, then I no longer need this one, so I can just kill that line and then come over here and close that parentheses right there. And so theoretically now, if I was to have used a let star, I think this would work. But, okay, it might still work. I know this is confusing because you might not even know what I'm talking about, but I don't either. So, because there's a HP here, and then I'm coming over here and using this HP, it's actually using this HP up here. And this strength is using this strength over here. Because these are being filled in by the time I get down here, I might actually be able to run this without having to use a let star, but I don't know. So, I could. Which is neat, because I'm just realize that. So what I'm going to try to explain is how it is without explaining what I'm talking about, just to see if you can see. I'm just going to kind of repeat what I just said. I'm using a let, and it's HP here, and it's strength here, right? And then right here, I'm printing that HP, and I'm printing this strength. But because I came down here, inside this lambda function right here, and I'm using HP, it can go up and see the HP over here. And normally, setf, when I'm down here, might be used to set a global variable. But because it's in a lexical scope right here, I don't know what this is, how to, let's just say that these blocks right here, there's a scope in here where only these things inside these can see it. So if I came down here and type HP, it probably doesn't mean anything. So the reason that is because there is no HP. There is a HP inside here, but this block is over, so it's gone now, as far as, anything is concerned. It might be sitting in memory somewhere to be waiting to be garbage collected. Now, because I'm opening up this lambda right here, I'm setting this HP to HP minus strength. This lambda right here can see these two variables right here, right? Even though this let can't see, like, wouldn't let me be able to do this. Let wouldn't let me do this, but because there's a lambda sitting here, I think it's the only reason this is able to be happening. So, basically 20 minus 5 is 15, right? So, we had 20 health, we're going to take 5 strength, and then bam. Now, to try to show what I'm talking about with a let, maybe if I get rid of the lambda, it'll do what I'm talking about. And I believe this is what's happening. Like I said, I don't really know all this stuff too well, and so now if I was to come over here and I want to just say, now let me try to do the same thing, right? So when I say set f HP, I want to say minus HP from the strength. And then do I need to print that? Maybe not, because it's the last thing returned. And so if you see right here, the execution of a form compiled with errors, form let HP 20, strength 5, set f HP minus 20. I'm just going to read this because I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Compile time error. Let binding spec. I don't know what that stands for. Set f HP minus HP string is malformed. So I should be able to say set f HP and then minus HP strength. And I just want to try to see if I let star, because maybe my form's broke. Maybe I don't know what I'm doing over here either, but I'll just put the left star and see if it works. And it didn't. So it is telling me something's messed up. And it's probably going to be, the let has to come out all the way down here for it to work like this though, right? So maybe the first thing I need to do, minus HP and strength. Let's just see. Whoa. Oh my goodness. String variable print. Variable print is defined but never used. So it's still trying to sit here and mess with these. But I thought I had to keep, because the let's open. Okay, I'm confusing myself here. If I come back to where I was, what's happening here is, I didn't close this let, but what I was thinking is, I have to have these inside the let, and that's why I was having it open. But there's also a parentheses right here that's in the let, so that's what I was missing out here, right? So I want to close these because this is where I'm creating variables. And I was thinking that they needed to be inside my let, but I was being goofy because they are inside my let, because everything I'm typing right now is inside my let. So now I should be able to do what I was trying to do a minute ago, except it's not going to let me, I think. So it did let me. So does this mean HP minus strength means that strength knows what HP is, but HP wouldn't know what strength was? And if this isn't the case, then I'm just going to move on, because let's just say I'm going to say plus. So we're going to set strength to be, and it works. Okay, so I didn't think these things could mess with each other without a let star. The let star does matter at some point, but it's working, so I'm not going to try to make it not work, right? Now, what was I talking about before? Was these property lists? That's what I want to go over. Am I ready for that? We saw enough of this stuff. So let's just so I'm gonna come up here, control space, and then go to the bottom of the file and just get rid of all that stuff. So yeah, I think at this point maybe we could go back to the list I was talking about earlier. And now we'll put a list. And maybe I'm going to use a global variable. Do I want to use global variables, or can we just... Okay, so because I'm trying to explain this stuff, maybe it gets hard to see all the stuff that's going on in this let and lambda. But this is maybe good to know and good to do in the future. We'll just do it that way because it's probably smarter. But because of what I'm doing right now, I want to just make some variables. And because these are lists, we already showed the way the list and dotted list work. So how could I do this right here? I want to say I'm going to make a global variable. I'm going to make it a list. And we're going to call it... oh, before I do this, I'm going to do a funkier one, I guess. Let's try to do the property list thing. Because I don't know if this is going to work or not. But okay, this is all the way back. I forgot about this already because I went back and looked at the history of Lisp and object-oriented programming. It was in my file over here, right? So if I was to come over here and say Control XB and I had forgotten about this, go over here, and I wanted to talk about OOP. So OOP is what I wanted to do. So these probably were like subheadings now, because I wouldn't see them as easy. And then that way, if it was like this, I could just come over here and then come to this one. And what I want to do here is object-oriented programming, use a plist. Like, plists are old, we know this now. Well, property lists, I'm just going to call them plists because I think that's what they're called for short. And I want to say, like, this might be a way to do maybe, because it's 1959, if there's object-oriented program didn't come out back then, this might be the first way to try to, like, do an object-oriented type of way of programming, let's say. So, I want to try to use plist as open, object-oriented programming, let's say. Now, let's just go ahead and do that now. So I'll say Control XO, Control X1, get rid of that, and try. Now, here's the weird part. This is what I'm trying to like see if this works, but I don't even know how to do this yet. So we might have to play with the list a little bit more that we were doing earlier. And this time, can I just put A and B without them being yes? So we can just say like A. We're gonna have a list, and we want it to be like this kind of A and B, C and D and E and F, let's say. And to simplify things, man, how can I do this? Let's just not make it that long for now. But I do want it to be like this, I think. And then what I want to do is, there's this thing called get. Oh, because I'm sitting here trying to make a list. It's not even really what I want to do. Right? Like, how would I even explain or try to do what I want to do? I want to say that there's a get that I can use to get these things out of here. So let me just try to do this. We'll just make the ZZ things again. Def var, and this time I'm going to call it ZZ list. Right? And I'm going to make this just for now A, B, and CD, let's say. And then I want to do one more of these. I'm going to call it ZZ dotted list. I'll just put it out so you can see what I'm talking about. I think these are also called broken lists, maybe. And then this one I'm going to say A dot B, and then C dot D. Now, what I want to do is try to get to these things, but we might as well get over a little bit of list first, which is kind of in the other video too, but if I go like this, I get A, B, C, D back. So if I also say the car, that's what I'm used to typing, but I'm going to try to type first, because car means first. Whoa, I didn't want that. But I did want what I had. First of ZZ list is going to be AB. And I can use second, and this is what I'm going to do, so I'm just going to show second. Because I'm going to try to mess with these things. Now, I want to say that if I want to get, well, the easy way, let's say if I want to get the A, then how would I want to get that? I'd probably put first, right? And then if I wanted to get the B, let's say, how would we get the B? So the first is AB, So that's what it's going to call first, right? So I think I have to say second here. I don't know, maybe this is weird too, because like what happens is we see this list, it's A, B, C, D, right? And then right here, if we call the first of the list, we get A and B. So when Lisp is the REPL, let's say when the REPL is executing this, for it to know what to do with second, because what is second right now? What is first right now? It doesn't know what we're, like, second means you have to get the second of something, right? And first means you have to get the second of the first of something. So I'm guessing right here, when we do this, what happens is the Lisp, I'm just going to call it an interpreter, or the REPL, whatever you want to call this thing. We'll say the REPL grabs this and has to evaluate it to this, right? Because how could it get the first or second of something? So what it's going to do is it's going to take this right here, it's going to evaluate it, and it's going to become this. And now it's going to get the first of this. And then after that, it's going to get the second of that. So it has to do the first. It has to do this to get the first of this. But before it can do second, it has to do this. So it has to do this, then this, to this, and then this to this, right? So it's easy to see from here what we do here is now we could say like second here. And if I hit, okay, so slime's different. Right there, I was in the middle of this, right? And I'm not saying slime's different. Porticle's different because I don't know what Porticle just has a bunch of stuff dumped into it, so it doesn't always act the way that I want it to do. So if I was to say like just second, first, and put A, 2, 3, whatever, who cares? If I'm in the middle of this in Porticle and I hit enter, like it could be Slime doing this, but I'm guessing it could be a plugin or some package or some mode that it's in by default. Control X U to undo that. So over here when I did that, I could be in the middle and just hit enter and it didn't care. That's how I like it. But over here, it goes like this. And so here, maybe you hit Control J. No. Here you hit Control Enter. Okay, that's fine. Because of what I'm trying to do. It's not a nested list, right? Last time we had a nested list sitting here. So if I was to do this again, I say like first instead. So first, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, who cares? Come in the middle of it, hit enter, it doesn't work. Undo that, and then hit Control Enter. And that way I can be anywhere in the function, in the tree or function on the line and hit Control Enter. Where over here I just have to hit enter. So that's just something to keep in mind, I guess, if you're following along in Porticle instead of emacs. Which, if you don't know anything about all that stuff and you want to use emacs in Slime, then this is why, or like what you can use is just use Porticle. And at some point I wanted to describe why I'm even using this, for instance. And I had to update my system last time. So I'm just going to do that again over here real quick. Pseudo, because I haven't, I don't know if some new stuff. Before I install anything, I just want to make sure everything's up to date because it gets annoying. And it looks like I mistyped my password. Ribbit, you don't know your password? So Ribbit doesn't have, when I was setting up this WSL under Ribbit face, I didn't set everything up right. So we'll just see tmux real quick. Control BD, and then if I say tmux minus tmux A, just attach. Right now there's only one session there, so just attaching to the last one. So it's kind of a shortcut. You can put numbers and stuff. So what I'm going to do is Control BD, because see how I'm doing something in here, right? And I want to be working. But if I didn't open tmux, which is this, like you can tell I'm in tmux because the little green bar down here, locally, it's just the way it looks by default. I usually use locally on the system I'm on. I always just leave tmux the way it looks. And then if I'm in a certain one of my servers or something, one of them might be red. I think the ribbit face might be a dark green or something, or maybe I'll get rid of this green in this one. I'm just so used to it, I'll probably just make it a darker green because, anyway. What this lets me do, though, is I hit Control BD, and I already had Control B, so who am I? You can see who I am, maybe, from this right here, but if I hit enter, it has ribbit face, but who am I will show I'm ribbit face. If I exit out of this, because to get into ribbit face, the way I'm doing it is just su minus L, I'm back into root now, right? So I can say apt, and I tried to like do this earlier to some degree, but it had to upload a bunch of stuff and I never went back to it, so hopefully it's not too crazy this time. And if so, maybe I'll just make the window smaller, that way I can pay attention to it. So it looks like there's only a couple things to get rid of. For some reason, if I hit Alt P here, it acts all weird, but Control P would like, man, I didn't mean to do that. Control P would go like this. So I'm used to being in Emacs hitting Alt P, so sometimes I come over here and hit Alt P, and it puts this thing that messes up tab completion and everything. So it's kind of annoying but interesting at the same time. So I'm just going to say apt upgrade now. And I don't know how long that's going to take, but it doesn't look like there's very much stuff, so not a big deal. And why am I doing this? Because I wanted to show. There we go. Let me switch back to my notes, my org notes right here. Another thing I want to do is what? Why use slime inside Emacs, let's say. Or in my case right now, I'm using sly. But if you're in protocol, you're using slime probably. It has sly also, but so it's done. And I just want to go over this part because it shows tmux. And like, is SBCL on here? No. And I want to say there's a RL wrap. So now that everything's updated, I can say like, what is it, like apt upgrade, no, sorry, apt install. I want to say it's RL wrap, actually. So it looks like there's something, yeah. And then I'll run that, and now I want to say apt install SBCL, because it wasn't on here either, right? I don't know, this one might take a minute. So I could probably go back and start talking about the stuff I'm supposed to be doing over here, which I got sidetracked on, and we did the zlist Ds, and so we're showing this stuff. And what was my point was trying to see how I'm accessing this stuff in here too. So what I also want to do is see what happens when I say first ZZ dotted, let's say, dotted list. So it's ABCD. And what happens if I say second, let's say. There wasn't two of those. So that's cool. What I need to do is go over here. And I don't, well, I can do it like this maybe. Alt D. There we go. Control D, then get to the end of that line. And we can see second dotted list. That's not what I was expecting to see, was it? What's this right here? C.D. And so my dot's not in the right spot. So I tried to make a dotted list, but it's not in the right spot, which I don't know if it matters, but it kind of looks like. What if I say first, ZZ dotted, let's say, and then if I say the first would be that, and so I want to change this one. That's what I tried to do the last time, right? The second, and didn't want to work. B is not a type list. Like, show me what the second of A.B is then. So it just doesn't like that, right? Because if this was not a broken list, what if I say nth? I'm just going to play around for a second. Nth one, A.B. So it just doesn't like this. So it seems like you can't mess with these things. And I'm in the middle of that. That's cool. Let's come back over here because it's done. And I'm going to run SBCL. Now, let's say I say +1 to, this is just like running in the REPL or running in the shell, bash or whatever. But the reason I'm in here all to begin with is, one, Emacs is nice for coding in Lisp, but two is, if I'm trying to define a function, and I'm going to call it add, and I want to add two things together, and I say, okay, it's not, like, one thing, it's not keeping up with the spacing I normally want. I'm expecting like Emacs to auto-indent this, let's say, for me. And then I put 1, 2 right here, and then I finish my function. It's not showing me where my parentheses are closing. And then if I say add 1, 2, let's say, and it worked, right? But now if I hit Alt P or Control P, I want to retype that function again. But how am I going to retype it? Like, how do I, like, even if I come over here and I say, hello, me, and then I want to go backward, Alt B does this, Control B does this, Control A does that, Control U is not even working, Control K is not working. So what I want to do now is like maybe, and then now I don't even know what's going on. So it didn't like that at all. So I think I can just hit that to get out of there. So I'll exit here, let's say. And I was doing that as root like a dummy. So, okay, so I don't want to be doing this as root. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say su minus L and go back into ribbit face. Just because I don't have my user set up correct because I closed out of my installation of WSL for whatever reason. The keyboard messed up or something. It's in the other video. So now I'm ribbit face, but remember where I was actually working in a tmux session. I exited out, and then I can come back over here, and then here's where the stuff I was doing earlier, right? So if I come back over here, and you saw SBCL was kind of jacked up. So if I say RL wrap, and then say SBCL, this little RL wrap tool, what it'll let me do is, if I go back over here and go like this, it's not going to make stuff pretty for me. That it does not do. But did you see that one parentheses, at least on this line? At least it matched that. But it doesn't know how to match the one above. But at least it's a little bit better than it was. But now if I messed up, maybe I could hit Control P. And then, so now I hit Control P, but if I hit Control N, right? If I hit Enter right here, and then maybe I could just, mess with it and see it still works. It's ugly, but I can also come over here and say, hello, me again, and hit Alt B and Alt F and Control E and Control A. So it's SBCL and a lot of these. The best one I've ever seen probably is, well, maybe Racket, but it doesn't use the emacs command, so it doesn't count here. So the best one I've seen is maybe Chicken Scheme, where you can open up Chicken Scheme's interpreter without RL wrap and start getting around a little bit. It works kind of weird, but it still works really well. I don't think I have Chicken Scheme on here. I'd show you. But this is why I'm inside emacs to begin with, because trying to just straight up be an SBCL and type sucks. So RL wrap makes that a little bit better, but it's not good, right? Just see a chicken. I don't even know what it's called, but chicken, app install chicken. So if I wasn't going there one day or something, maybe show just how convenient Chicken Scheme is. But that's a Lisp 1, and it's a scheme and not Common Lisp. And right now I'm trying to focus on Common Lisp. So I'm just going to come back over here and get back to what I was doing. I just wanted to show that, why I'm using Emacs, let's say. At some point we might show how to run like shell scripts with SBCL or something. I don't think I'll do that right now because who knows how long I've been recording already. And I don't even know if this microphone's working or it sounds good or if I'm talking loud enough or any of that stuff. So what I want to do is try to do what I was trying to do, which was I was over here. And it didn't seem to like me going that, but I wonder if I can access the first part of it. So it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter that I'm accessing the first part. And it didn't matter with the first either, I don't think, if I remember correctly. But for some reason, second, all of a sudden, doesn't like this. And so there's a last also, so let's just see what last on AB does, and see what last on A.B does. So we can get the last. So I wonder if I could say, this is just a funky way. If I want to get the first one, all I have to do is this, right? But this is why Lisp is interesting. I'm just guessing here because I saw that return value. I saw that return value on the last, right? So I'll just do it one more time. I know you can see it, but what can I do here now? I should be able to come over here and say second on this, but it's probably not going to let me do it actually because it's still giving it that same thing back. So let's just see if second's different. So here we could probably get the cooter though. Oh, so I didn't even think of that earlier, a minute ago, right? So cooter is rest, I think. So if I say rest A.B, so now I can find a way to get to them. So here you go. We can find a way to get to this thing I was trying to talk about. But I want to say there's another way. How would I do this? So what did I have my variables, my ZZ variables earlier? Didn't I have a list maybe? And the other one was ZZ dotted, right? Duded, man. So I could use, instead of the second and first, I could use those. But I also want to know, like, how can I change the B, let's say? Oh, the stupid B's. Oh, so first let's do the cutter. So I don't know if I ever tried that. So let's just go back over here. The cutter of this is that. So if I was to come over here, and now I want to get the first, let's say, because I wanted to mess with the B, right? So we have to find a way to get to the B. And so the B is now the second of that. But if we were to say the cutter of this, sorry, I'm typing some words I didn't explain. Cutter's just rest. And now I have the B sitting here. I want to say there's something called get. On get. So, but how do I get that? So what if I say get ZZ list A? Let's just see what happens. ZZ list A. And A doesn't mean anything, so the symbol ABC is not a type symbol. Alright, so is that get A ZZ list? You know. Okay. So maybe it's not what I thought it was either there, but get does do something. Like, what if I just type get? Does it tell me what I'm supposed to put there? Get symbol indicator optional default. I'm just reading the bottom down here, the very bottom right here. It says get symbol indicator. So I'm getting the symbol. So if I get the symbol, oh, I gotta mess with this plist thing here with a variable that doesn't. What I'm trying to show is that maybe a variable doesn't even have to have a name and you can still access stuff in it. But I'm having a hard time trying to think of what to do here to do what I'm trying to do. So I'm going to say get. I don't know how to use the get though. So get indicator optional. If I have A and I want to get the A from A, B, C, D, let's say. Does it just not work with a dotted list? I don't know. And if I was to say get B, it doesn't look like it's going to do anything either, right? And so if I say A, B, C, D, and then tell it get the A, the value of the list is saying that the value list is not a type symbol. So lists are not symbol. Symbol P, 1, 2, 3, no. Symbol P of A is a symbol. So we can see that a list is not a symbol now. And another thing about this too is like, I want to say nil. So we can say list P nil. Yes. So nil is a list. And I guess the reason it is because nil can also be written like this. Or even like this, let's say. But it's also atom. So nil is also an atom. So nil is an empty list. A list is an empty list, and it's also an atom. And I want to guess that like there's only atoms in list. Nothing else is an atom in a list besides nil, I think. And if I say list P, let's put a vector here because I don't think it's going to be a vector. So that means it has to be a atom, if I'm correct. And notice the atom doesn't have a P at the end, which is kind of strange. But I think the reason that is because all atom does by itself is check to see if something's an atom. And list already has a meaning. And list has a meaning of make a list of these numbers. So since list already has a name, the P just means predicate, I think, and it means it's asking a question. So if you see some common Lisp functions with P at the end, it's usually because it's asking a question, I guess. Is this an atom? So you could say like type of, 1, 2, 3. I think maybe I have to put list here. Invalid number of arguments. So it's the other one. So type of, it's just going to tell me it's a cons. And that means it's a list. Let's check that out by saying type P. 1, 2, 3. Is that a list? Yes. And it was in the other video, but if you wonder why, it's saying, is this a list? And it says true, but when I ask what type of that is, it's because it's a cons, because lists are made of cons cells. So if I say cons 2 and cons 3, right, this will probably give me a jacked up, well, I don't know what it'll do, but I should probably put nil there. And if I want it to be one of those broken or dotted lists, then I'd put a 4 here, let's say. So you could probably say like equal P the list 1, 2, 3, and sometimes depending on what equal thing you're doing, it may or may not work. So if I was to say cons 3 nil untrue, so you can see that these equal each other. So when I said type of this, it gave me back cons. It's cons. These are con cells. They're kind of like a, I guess like in Lisp you have your, or in C or something you have your null terminated like arrays and stuff like that. This is like a null terminated cons, I guess. What do they call those things? Like, there's some thing I'm trying to think of, but it doesn't matter, I guess. So there's this. I'm gonna have to probably look it up, but maybe if I went back and did the Z, was it ZZ name, ZZ list maybe? This one already exists, but I still want to know how to access those, I think. So let me just try a normal list. Let me say get, I want to say a.b, not a normal list, but a dotted list. And then it wanted a symbol first. So maybe I can't do this because it doesn't exist or whatever, but I thought, it's not giving me an error though. So what if I said get and then told it setf, but how am I going to know where I'm putting it? Oh, this is so confusing. I don't even know how I'm supposed to do what I'm trying to do. Get setf. I know this is like probably annoying, but it's really interesting to me, this, if I can figure out how to get this property list to be kind of like object-oriented thing. I'm going to have to probably look up get though. Setf. But if I set f something that doesn't exist. Alright, so I'm going to try to say like get f, and let's say if I had a rat girl sitting here. So I'm going to say get f. Okay, maybe this is how I do it. And maybe I can't do it because it doesn't exist or something, or because I'm just trying to use a list. So let me just see if I say like get rat girl, let's say rat grill, the rat girl. I did it again. We're joking. Rat girl's a rat girl, I guess. So if I say get rat girl, and how would I set this? Oh, so do I have to set the f to rat girl? But I don't want to create the rat girl, right? I want to say get rat girl, and I want to say set f. And I'm just going to make something up here. Let's just give it rat girl some HP. So I say get rat girl, which there is no rat girl, right? This is why it's so confusing for me. So I'm going to say get some rat girl and set f her HP to be, she's a rat girl, so she could have like maybe 30 HP, let's say. And then I would say set f. When I say set f. Is it like this that you do a set f? Undefined variable HP. Like, I didn't just create a global variable, did I? Dang, I did. But it also told me there's an undefined variable. So here I'm getting a warning. The HP is what it's talking about. So if I was to say get setf, man, can I do it like this? Let's describe rat girl first. Let's just describe rat girl. Rat girl, how do I do you? Like this, right? Okay, so it didn't put anything in there, so I don't think it messed up what I was trying to do. But what if I said setf HP 30 here? Oh, it did not like me no more. So it's saying the function quote is undefined. Okay. It didn't do what I wanted to do. I need to go get a drink too, so I think I'm just gonna stop this video. I don't want to splice them together, so maybe I'll just make this a playlist of me trying to get through here and making this do what I want to do. So just give me a minute. We'll see what happens.